Okay, so to start this out, I'm just using the Elemis Pro Collagen Marine Cream moisturizer on her. She doesn't really need anything heavy. She's little, so I'm just rubbing that in. So now I'm just taking the Luxie 201 Brow and Lash Spoolie Brush to comb through her brows. Now I'm taking a angled Wet n Wild eyebrow brush with a little bit of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Dark Brown, and I'm just lining the tail of her eyebrow to start and then just filling it in, not using as much product the closer I get to the inner part of her brow. I took the brow product a little too far down right here, so I'm just using a Q-tip with a little micellar water and cleaning that up a little bit. Now I'm going in with the Benefit Gimme Brow Fiber Gel in the shade number 5, and I'm just combing through her eyebrows and giving them a little bit more color and a little more fullness. Here I'm taking the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer in the shade Light Ivory and putting this all over her eyelid. And then with the Luxie 221 Flat Definer Brush, I'm just going to be taking the concealer and using that to kind of outline her eyebrows and make them look a little more defined and cleaned up a little bit. With a damp beauty blender, I'm just going to be blending that out to make it look a little cleaner. I'm taking a random Real Technique brush with the Coty Airspun Translucent Powder and just putting this on her eyes to kind of set it in place. I use a lot, but I end up wiping it away. I'm taking another Real Technique brush to wipe this away, but I don't know the names of it. And then with another dry beauty blender, I'm outlining where I'm going to want her eyeshadow to be placed. I just use a dry one, it's easier. Now with the Jaclyn Hill Armed and Gorgeous palette, this is actually one of my favorite palettes out of the collection. But I'm going to be going in with the shade Access on a crown brush. I'm just going to be taking this color and putting it directly into her crease. It's a yellowy color, so yeah. Now I'm going in with a slightly darker shade, Secure, out of the same palette. This is more of a burnt orange color, and I'm taking that into the crease as well, slightly below Access, because I still want that yellow to pop through a little bit. And I'm just blending that in on both sides. Now I'm going in with the lighter brown shade in the palette called Smooth Criminal. And again, just a little bit lower into the crease with that, because I still want the yellow shade Access and the orange shade Secure to still show. I'm building kind of a gradient with this, and I am taking the brown into the inner corner because I am going to be creating a halo eye, so I want to drag that color all the way in to the inner corner of her eyelid, and then going back with the orange shade a little bit and blending that out more. I forgot to mention when I switched brushes, but now I'm using the Luxie 229 tapered blending brush. Started using this brush when I went in with that second shade Secure. Now going in with a Morphe pencil brush, I'm going in with this dark brown shade in the palette Prowl and putting this in her outer corner on the lower side along her top lash line as well. I'm just using this to darken it up and deepen it a little bit. I'm also going to be blending this out with the previous shades in the palette, also bringing this into her inner corner and along the crease in a very thin line and blending that out as well. After I've blended the shades pretty much how I want them to look, I'm using the Luxie 160 lip brush, and I use this brush to apply the concealer. I'm not doing much, just putting this in the middle of her lid so that I can create this halo eye. I'm just putting that on there, and then I'm going to be tapping it in with my finger a little bit to make it a little more packed in there and easier for me to place the shadow on top. I'm just taking a bit of the orange shade Secure here and just blending out the edges so it doesn't look so harsh where I put the concealer. Now going in with the Luxie 245 small shader brush, I'm going in with one of the lighter gold shadows in the palette called Guilt Trip, and I'm just putting that directly over where I put the concealer, and I did spray this with a little bit of MAC Fix Plus just to make the color a little more vibrant and pop a little more. Going back in with both brown shades now, Smooth Criminal and Prowl, I'm again blending out the edges just a little more to make it look smoother, more of a nice, smooth transition here. I'm really working on making a gradient of color here, so I kind of spent a lot of time on this part. While she's making crazy faces here, I'm using the Luxie 532 round top blender brush just to wipe away that powder that I put there to create a sharp line as well as any fallout from the shadows so far. Then going back with that Morphe liner brush with the shade Prowl, again, just darkening up the outside. And since I'm not going to be putting a liner on her today, I'm also taking that farther around her upper lash line to create the effect of a soft brown liner, just to make the look a little more complete. Now I'm going to be going in with a Morphe foundation brush with Bare Minerals Bare Pro Performance Wear Liquid Foundation in the shade Sandstone. This obviously is not her correct shade 100%. This is just the lightest shade that I have right now to use on her. And I mean, she's 11. She doesn't wear foundation anyway, so I didn't have anything else to use. So I'm just using the brush basically to apply this all over her face, and then going in with a damp beauty blender to actually blend this into her face. I really made sure to blend this into her hairline and like around her ears as well as down her neck, due to the fact that it's not her correct shade. Now going in with the concealer, again, the same one I used to prime her lids, and putting this on her under eyes, her forehead, down her nose, her cupid's bow, and her chin. This is why I didn't really focus too hard on blending under her eyes, because I knew I was going to be putting the concealer there, so I didn't really need to blend the foundation in, but so much because I was going to be going right back over it with the concealer. And this shade is obviously very, very light, so that helps match the foundation a little better and bring a little more brightness into the center points of her face. Going back in with that dry beauty blender, I'm taking the concealer on one of the flat edges and putting this under her eyes, forehead, and a little bit around her mouth. I'm not really baking because I'm just taking a big e.l.f. foundation blending brush, I don't know, and blending that into her face. So it only sat there for a couple minutes, so I'm not really baking, as I said. More so just the places that she would crease quickly, I went ahead and put it a little thicker there. And sorry for the camera adjusting angleness right there. Now I'm just taking a Moda beauty brush. I'm not sure the number or anything on this one. And just further blending all of that out and making sure it's pretty well blended in and nothing too crazy. Here I'm using the Luxie 111 mini flat angled brush and using that yellow to outline her lower lash line, and then I'm going in with Secure and then later Smooth Criminal and Prowl as well. Basically all the shades that I put on her lid, I'm just putting those in a gradient on the bottom lash line as well. Each shade darker I put a little bit less, or I brought it less close to her inner corner, if that makes sense. And now I'm going to be using the infamous Hoola bronzer with the Real Techniques buffing brush. And I'm just going to be adding a little bit of bronzer to her cheeks and her forehead. And then I'll be bringing this down her neck a little bit as well. And again, with the dry beauty blender and the translucent powder, I'm just outlining the bottom part of the bronzer just to make sure it's a little sharper. And I obviously spilt a lot of it in her hair, the translucent powder. Now I'm just using that big fluffy elf brush again to blend that out and make sure it looks good. And now I'm going to be using the Real Her Be Fearless, Be Limitless blush palette with a what is it called? Bare Minerals blusher brush. And I'm going with the shade Unstoppable. It's the Pretty Rose Gold one. And then straight in with the Cover FX Perfector Face Palette. I'm using the shade Divine to highlight her cheeks, a little bit on her forehead, her nose, her Cupid's bow as well. I love this highlighter. Now I'm going to be using the Ardell Wispies lashes. I'm just putting that on with some Duo Strip Lash adhesive, and I'm using this in the shade Black, just so the lash band doesn't show, and it also gives the effect of a little bit of eyeliner. Going in with a dry Q-tip, I'm just using that to take off any foundation that may have went on her lips. Here I'm going in with the Pretty Vulgar liquid lipstick in the shade My Lips Are Sealed, and I ended up hating this actually. So off camera, I ended up taking it off and using a Cargo nude lip gloss instead, and I liked it a little bit better, but I didn't film that part, but you'll see it at the end of the video. I'm using the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara in black and putting this on her lower lashes and then just a tiny bit on the falsies to make them look a little bit more dramatic. And lastly here, I'm spraying her face with a little MAC Fix Plus setting spray just to lock this into place and making sure her makeup does not move.